These are the previous year asked interview questions by the Tata consultancy company in interview from the full-stack web developer. It's important to have a good understanding of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and web development concepts such as performance optimization and responsive design. Let's moving to the questions and answers. Question 1. What is the difference between HTML and XHTML? Answer. HTML and XHTML are both markup languages used for creating web pages. However, the main difference between HTML and XHTML is that XHTML is an XML application, which means that it is stricter in terms of syntax rules. In HTML, elements can be left unclosed or improperly nested, while in XHTML, all elements must be properly closed and nested. XHTML also requires all tags to be in lowercase and attribute values to be enclosed in quotes. Another difference is that in XHTML, all documents must have a document type declaration, whereas it is optional in HTML. Question 2. Explain the concept of responsive design in web development. Answer. Responsive design is a web development technique that allows web pages to adapt to different screen sizes and devices, providing a better user experience. With responsive design, the layout of a web page is adjusted based on the screen size of the device accessing it. This means that the content will be displayed differently on a desktop computer compared to a mobile phone or tablet. The main idea behind responsive design is to use flexible layouts and images, as well as media queries, to adjust the presentation of content based on the device's screen size. This approach ensures that the website looks good on any device, without requiring a separate mobile version of the site. Question 3. What is the use of the box sizing property in CSS? Answer. The box sizing property in CSS is used to define how the total width and height of an element is calculated. By default, when you set the width and height of an element in CSS, the padding and border are added to the overall dimensions of the element. This means that if you set an element's width to 100 px and add 10 px of padding, and a 2 px border, the total width of the element will be 124 px. By using the box sizing property, you can change this behavior. The possible values for the property are content box and border box. When set to content box, the width and height of the element only apply to the content area, and the padding and border are added to the outside of the element. When set to border box, the width and height of the element include the content area, padding, and border. Question 4. How do you optimize website performance? Answer. Website performance optimization involves a variety of techniques and best practices that aim to make web pages load faster and provide a better user experience. Some common methods for optimizing website performance include minimizing HTTP requests. Reducing the number of HTTP requests made by a web page can speed up load times. This can be done by combining multiple CSS or JavaScript files into a single file, reducing the number of images used, and using CSS sprites. Compressing files like CSS and JavaScript can reduce their file size and improve page load times. Caching. Browser caching can speed up website performance by storing frequently accessed files in a user's browser cache, reducing the need to download them again. Optimizing images. Using optimized images, reducing the file size and resolution, can reduce the load time of a web page. Minimizing render blocking resources. Minimizing the impact of scripts on page rendering can speed up page load times. Optimizing server response times. Optimizing the server can speed up response times for website requests. Question 5. Explain the difference between GET and POST methods in HTTP. Answer. The main differences between the GET and POST methods in HTTP are: GET is used to retrieve data from a server, while POST is used to submit data to a server. Data sent via GET is visible in the URL, while data sent via POST is not visible. GET is less secure than POST, as data can be intercepted and manipulated more easily. GET has a limit on the amount of data that can be sent, while POST has no limit. Question 6. What is the use of the data attribute in HTML5? Answer. The data attribute is used in HTML5 to store custom data private to the page or application. This attribute can be added to any HTML tag to create a custom attribute with a name starting with data. The data attribute is useful when you want to store data that is not intended to be displayed on the page, but you still want to access it through JavaScript or other client-side scripting languages. This can include information such as configuration settings, user preferences, or any other data that you need to pass between your HTML and JavaScript code. For example, you might use a data attribute to store the ID of a product associated with a particular HTML element, or to store the URL of an image that you want to display when a user hovers over a particular element on the page. Question 7. Explain the concept of closure in JavaScript. Answer. In JavaScript, closure refers to the ability of a function to access and remember its outer lexical scope even after the function has finished executing. When a function is defined inside another function, the inner function has access to the outer function's variables and parameters. In addition, if the inner function is returned from the outer function or passed as a callback to another function, it closes over or captures the outer function's variables and parameters. This allows the inner function to continue to access and manipulate these variables and parameters, even after the outer function has finished executing and its variables and parameters would normally be destroyed. This is what is meant by closure. Closures are useful in many scenarios, such as creating private variables and functions, maintaining state in asynchronous operations, and creating functions with partial application or currying. However, they can also lead to memory leaks if not used correctly, as the captured variables and parameters will continue to exist in memory as long as the closure is referenced. Question 8. What is the use of the async and defer attributes in script tags? Answer. The async and defer attributes are used in script tags to control how a web page loads and executes JavaScript code. The async attribute indicates that the script should be downloaded and executed asynchronously with the rest of the page. This means that the script can be downloaded in the background while the rest of the page continues to load, and it will execute as soon as it's ready, even if other parts of the page haven't finished loading yet. This is useful for scripts that don't need to interact with the rest of the page and can be run independently. The defer attribute indicates that the script should be downloaded in the background but not executed until the rest of the page has finished loading. This means that the script won't block the page from rendering, but it will execute in the order in which it appears in the page's HTML. This is useful for scripts that need to interact with the rest of the page and must wait until it's fully loaded before running. It's important to note that the async and defer attributes should only be used with external scripts, not inline scripts. Additionally, the defer attribute should not be used with scripts that need to be executed before the page is fully loaded, such as scripts that modify the page structure or styles. Question 9. What is the difference between a session and a cookie? Answer. A session and a cookie are both used for storing information about a user's interaction with a website, but they serve different purposes and are stored differently. A session is a server-side storage mechanism that is used to keep track of a user's activity on a website during a specific browsing session. When a user first accesses a website, a unique session ID is created for that user, which is stored on the server. The session ID is then sent to the user's browser as a cookie, which is a small piece of data that is stored on the user's computer. The cookie is sent back to the server with each subsequent request, allowing the server to retrieve the corresponding session data and provide a personalized experience for the user. A cookie, on the other hand, is a small piece of data that is stored on a user's computer by a website. Cookies can be used to remember user preferences or to track a user's activity on a website over time. Unlike sessions, cookies are stored on the user's computer and can be accessed by both the client-side and server-side scripts. In summary, a session is a server-side storage mechanism that allows the server to keep track of a user's activity during a browsing session, while a cookie is a small piece of data that is stored on a user's computer by a website and can be accessed by both client-side and server-side scripts. Question 10. Explain the concept of Ajax and how it is used in web development. Answer. Ajax is a technique used in web development that enables web pages to update content dynamically without requiring a full page refresh. This technique involves using a combination of technologies, including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and XML, JSON, to make asynchronous requests to the server and update parts of the web page without reloading the entire page. The concept of Ajax is based on the idea that web pages can communicate with servers in the background, fetching data and updating parts of the page as needed without requiring a full refresh. This approach provides a more seamless and responsive user experience, as the user can interact with the page without waiting for it to fully reload. In Ajax, JavaScript is used to create and send HTTP requests to the server asynchronously, without blocking the browser's user interface. When the server responds with data, the JavaScript code can update parts of the page with the new content without requiring a full page reload. XML or JSON is typically used to transfer data between the server and the client. The server can send the data in these formats, which the JavaScript code can then parse and use to update the page. Ajax is commonly used in web development for a variety of purposes, including dynamic form submission, live search, and real-time chat. It is also used in web applications that require frequent updates, such as social media platforms and financial trading applications. Overall, Ajax is a powerful and widely used technique in web development that provides a more seamless and responsive user experience by enabling dynamic updates to web pages without requiring a full page refresh. Please subscribe our Telegram channel IT Career Guide by click on the link in description.